Well, I'm originally from Canada. Sometimes my accent might give that away. But I have a computer science degree and an MBA, so I started out in the high-tech world, a long way away from vineyards. I moved to Silicon Valley with my Canadian company to open their US operations. And when I was there, of course, I discovered Napa and Sonoma and Santa Cruz Mountains and wine country, so it became my big dream. I think it was just I really wanted to get out of the city, and really I thought more about the vineyard side than the winery itself. And when I started looking at properties and found this place, it was like I had the vineyards and the winery, and I threw myself into it. So when I first purchased the place, there was an actual winemaker here, and my intention was to just keep it that way. But after a very short period of time, I'm a bit of a control freak, so I kind of took over and realized that to truly make a wine that reflected my taste and style, I needed to do that myself. Yeah, you know, I grew up, as I said, in Canada, which meant we drank a lot of European wines. So I was used to a more elegant, softer wine, maybe a little bit more acidity. So I wanted to put that style on my wine. And going back 17 years ago, Paso Robles was big, jammy, fruit-in-your-face style typically. So it was very different from what a lot of the other people in the area were doing. And I think I accomplished, what I had chose to do. Of course, the fruit here is very ripe because we get that nice hot temperature, but it can still be finessed. For the first, I want to say 13 years here, I dealt with 100% estate-grown fruit. And the soils here are very similar to the Bordeaux region. There's a lot of the granite in the soil types. As a result, I transitioned the vineyard to be 100% Bordeaux varietals. And since the vines had old roots, they were planted back in 1980, they were self-rooted, there's a lot of character and structure. So you get some of the nice tannins and the leather notes. And of course, finessing that in the winery to get the length and the finish was kind of what I focused on. First light is when the crew started. So they usually arrived before first light, started picking. Everything was always picked by hand. And of course, since it is 100% estate property, the grape was delivered to the winery right away. And as a result, the grapes were still cold when they were crushed. Of course, as you know, the vineyards have since been removed, and now it's a totally different approach to winemaking here. All of the wines that I have in the current lineup, there's 7 of them, were all bottled back in September 1st, and I, of course, launched the brand October 1st after just 1 month in bottle. They're all doing extremely well now because they've had that little bit of time aging. But I would have to say my flagship is really the Bordeaux blend called Intense. So that's 40% Cab, 34% Verdot, Petit Verdot rather, 13 Malbec, 13 Cabernet Franc. So throughout the year, I try to do something every single month. It's not always a big out on the patio type of event. Sometimes it's just special pairings in the taste room, but every month there's something going on here.
Was that kind of a stressful job going from the high-tech stuff?
High-tech was corporate, it was intense, it was long hours. During the end, I was doing international business development, so actually on the road 85% of the time, rarely in my own bed. And that's when I decided it was time to check out and get into a different lifestyle.
Yeah, so you mentioned Napa and you're experiencing the wine industry for the first time just by chance of being in the area. What was kind of your first experience with wine?
Well, that was actually when I was underage, so don't get my parents in trouble. But anytime there was a special occasion, there was always wine served, and even us kids got a little pour. And to me, that became that special beverage, just because it was always, whenever anything happy was going on, there was wine served.
Okay. You have a recipe book that I know a lot of wineries have gotten on board with, saying, hey, you've got some great recipes in here, will you pair my wine with it? So that's really cool. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I'm now working on my 3rd book, so I'm totally excited about that. The first was called Eat This With Paso Robles Wine. And it was all the recipes that I'd been using for my friends and for events. And a few other people wanted to contribute recipes, so that worked out great. Several of the wineries, when they found out I was doing it, were on board. They gave me wine. They wanted to put menus in there. So the first one was a knuckle biter. It was kind of scary, but it worked out well. The second book, which was Eat This With Pastarables Wine 2, much bigger participation from the wineries and the chefs in the area, so most of the recipes were actually contributed. And this third book is Eat, Drink, Paso, because now we have so many of the wineries producing spirits as well. There's beers and ciders in the area, so although the main focus will be on wine, other beverages will be included, and there's even a cocktail recipe
So an
chapter.
all-encompassing book.
Exactly. That's why it's taking me so long.
Awesome. Well, that's cool. I saw you had that on your website. You have all your wine there. You have that book, the new book. I'm presuming is going to be on that also.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. You have a great patio. What events do you have planned for that? What events have you had there?
So far, the grand opening was the first one, of course, you know, music and food and letting everyone taste the wines for the first time. And then in this area, there's several large festival weekends. So Harvest Wine Tour weekends, always the third week in October. So once again, you know, live music and food. And this weekend is actually wine festival weekend in the area, and I'm bringing in a food truck this time, which is fun, and doing live music. Weekends such as Memorial Weekend, I'll do the same thing. So it's just a great space to be able to listen to music, enjoy food, enjoy some wine.
And for your wine club, you only ship in California?
At this time, yes.
Okay. That about does it. Did you have anything else that you think that we missed?
Just P.S. We have wine in the cellar. Come visit. The taste room's open Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for letting us come in. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for coming.
Yeah.